something in my spirit is like, girl, if you don't pick this up. This was a nice juicy bundle for someone that lowball the fuck out of me, okay? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel via Glow. If you're new here, my name is Gloria and I'm a full-time reseller on multiple different apps, and I resell clothes and shit. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a February recap. I do want to go over a few sales that I made for the month of February, but then I also want to talk about some changes that I've made to my business for the month of February, and then what I decided to do moving forward. All right, so for the month of February, please take a shot every time I say February, or just take a sip of water, because you know we don't want to condone drinking alcohol all the time. But anyways, so for last month I actually made a total of 107 sales, and I believe I made 3 bundles on Poshmark. So February is definitely my best month since the year has started. So first we'll talk about Poshmark sales. So the first one is a brand that I actually cannot pronounce, so I'm not, but I'll pop it on the screen for the people that know how to read. That was kind of rude. Just look at the name and read it, because clearly I can't. So anyways, so this was a brand that I picked up at the bins. I only picked it up because I thought the blazer looked pretty cool, and I thought that it gave very much so that goth vibe, goth punk metal vibes. Not the color, but the style. Yes, so I picked it up and I saw a few comps, so I listed mine pretty high at like $50 some. It sat and sat and sat, so the price dropped down a little bit lower, and somebody swooped in and bought it full asking price for $37. And if you guys are thinking like, wow, $37 is a very odd number to list your items at, if you sell on Poshmark and you participate in closet clear out, you know why that price says 37 and not 38 or 35. So there's that. The next one is a brand called Bonobos, if I'm not mistaken. This is actually a pretty good brand to pick up. Of course, you want to vet the style, because not all Bonobos does well. These pants remind me of like the ABC pants from Lululemon. I have them listed at $55, I want to say, because I actually got these from a regular thrift store, so I was trying to make a little bit more money on it. So I was really happy when somebody accepted my Pasha VA offer for $42. So yeah, let me know down below if you pick up this brand, because I know a lot of people probably don't know about it, but they do sell men items and that is their niche. The next one is a brand called Commando. I personally love picking up this brand. It's only my second time finding it. However, when I picked up this style, I was excited. So the next one is North Face. I personally don't like to pick up this brand. I don't like to pick up their jackets anymore because they do sit and sit and sit and sit. However, this was a shacket. It was Sherpa lined, so I knew that this style would do pretty well. This was a nice juicy bundle for someone that lowball the fuck out of me, okay? This bundle came up to, I want to say $249. They sent me a $75 offer. Mind you, I did get 6 of these items from the bins. The other one I did pay like $4 or $5 for at a regular thrift store, so I really wasn't going to be losing much on the back end. But then I felt insulted, but I also wanted to get these items out because these are sweaters and jackets, and as y'all know, it's nice to go ahead and move those items out now than to be here during the summertime saying, oh, I'll just have to wait for wintertime to come again. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go back and forth with him. I think I did like 150, and then he countered, and then we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, I declined his offer, which was, I want to say, $100. So y'all probably like, well, I mean, you paid $1 or $2 for these items, like, let it go. My thing at this point, because I didn't realize until afterwards, like, wait, these are heavy. Like, those sweaters at the top, the Baja Beach sweaters, those are actually pretty heavy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna end up having to upgrade the shipping label. So what I did was I went and I got all of the items, and then I put them on my scale, and I see that it was about 13 pounds. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to pay for a shipping label. And it was $22 to upgrade it to a 10-pound. Now I know somebody's gonna be like, oh, you're cheating UPS for the extra 3 pounds. You gotta mind your business, okay? That's what you need to do. But anyways, I went on and just left it alone because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to upgrade the shipping label and you were trying to lowball me. I'll just have to sit on these items. He came back the next day and sent me $5 under the offer that I sent him. Now, me trying not to be petty, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and accept it and we'll call it a day. So he sent me a $120 offer. I accepted it. Now, after fees and cost of goods, your girl made like a $60 profit. The next one is a Nike ACG sweater. Ben's fine, listed it the same day and it sold the exact same day, full asking price. I was surprised, and to be honest with you, when I received the sale, I thought that I listed it too low because I'm like, they just came in like that and bought it. You already know how I feel about Nike. Obviously, she's turning into somebody that is performing a lot better for me, so I probably should stop talking shit about her. The next one is a pair of denim jeans that were upcycled. Somebody that actually watches my YouTube channel reached out to me on one of my videos and they asked, were these still available? I told them yes. They went to my closet and made an offer, and of course I accepted it because it was a great offer. So if you're watching this, thank you so much for sending me a very reasonable offer on these nice jeans. So we love that. The next one is a pair of Madewell denim jeans. You already know how I feel about Madewell. She's not really that girl anymore, but I did find these at the bins and they did have quite a bit of stains on them. So I did do a little bit more TLC because when I found them, a lot of people had passed them over because of the stains. But I was just like, I think I can get these out, and I used like my shout and it got most of them out except like one tiny one, but it was really small. So I think that's why that person didn't mind. I actually saw the feedback on this item and she was saying, thank you so much for the great deal. So she knows she got a good one. The next one is a pair of Good American denim jeans. This brand typically doesn't do as well as it used to, but I always get about $40 to $60 for it. Recently got $65 for a pair that was larger, so I think that if you find a larger size, you probably can mark up the price just a little bit because they are willing to pay for it because it's not oversaturated like the smaller sizes. The next one is Lululemon leggings. Side note, this was the reason why I changed something in my business, and of course I'll talk about that at the end, but these were a pair of Lululemon leggings. Both of these pairs, found them at the same exact location on the same exact day. So these were sold to two different people, of course, but I put them in the same bunch because they sold back to back. And I was really happy for both of these sales because we all know Lululemon is not necessarily declining, but the older styles are not really getting picked up. So since these were the newer styles, I went on and picked them up. I didn't know that they were going to do as well as they did. So yeah, all the little bit of shit that I talked about Lululemon, let me zip it because she performed pretty well. These literally sold, one sold the same exact day, the other one sold the very next day. So this one is a brand that I would highly suggest you look out for. The brand is called Wooden Chips. Now I know I sold mine for a lot less than I should have. However, when you get a reasonable offer for something that you didn't pay that much for, I would go ahead and accept it. So this was actually new with tags, and like I said, the brand is called Wooden Chips. It is sold at Anthropologie, but this brand stands on its own name and it does really well. Check some comps if you have not. This is definitely a brand you should put on your BOLO list because it does pretty well. This is a Bowden dress. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I picked this up at the bins and I was really happy to find it because it's at the bins, and I know that it typically goes for $30 to $40 for me personally. So I did price mine at like $48, and Poshmark sent an offer and we got it out the door. So if you do not pick up this brand, I would highly suggest you to pick it up. Of course, vet the style and also vet the size, because I've noticed that my sizes that are under a size 10, they don't go for much, but anything over a size 10, they sell pretty well. The next one is this Torrid jacket. Torrid doesn't do well for me, but for some reason when I'm at the bins, I just cannot leave it behind. Something in my spirit is like, girl, if you don't pick this up. So I always pick it up, and this one actually performed really well for me. And yeah, if I find anything similar, I will go ahead and pick it up because some of the girls love toward, and some of the girls don't mind paying up for it, and then some of the girls, they keep their coin purse clenched. So yeah. So these are a pair of UGG boots. I believe I actually sourced these at a new location that I went to over the summer. And of course I knew I was going to be sitting on them into the fall winter. They actually finally sold in February, so I was really happy about that. Not necessarily for the price point that I wanted, because I wanted to get about 70, 80 for it, but you know, I feel like UGG is not really that girl. Like, people are still friends with her, but they don't really care to be around her like that, if you get what I'm trying to say. So now we move on to eBay. These are some Lululemon men surge joggers. If you guys watched my last haul video, I thought these were women pants, but somebody in the comments told me that they were men, and of course by that time I already found out that they were men items, but whatever. These sold for $65. I had them listed for $78 because they were in a like new condition, and I received 2 offers when I woke up, and one was at $55, another one was at $65. So here we are. So I accepted that $65 offer. I will always pick up Lululemon men's items, even if they are in bad condition, because they've always sold for over $50 every single time. Every single pair of men pants that I've picked up sold for over $50. So I'm never going to stop picking them up. The next one is a pair of Tread Step Symphony pants. These were actually in a vlog video that I had. I'll probably link that down below for you guys as well. But I love picking up any type of breeches or breeches. I think they're called breeches if I'm not mistaken. These are for the girls that ride horses. These had leather for like the inner thigh, and they were like some stretchy material. But nonetheless, I would highly suggest to pick up any type of pants that the girls are riding horses on, because they do well. I did have these listed at $38. They sent me a $25 offer, and I graciously accepted it because I am not a storage unit. So yeah. The next one is this helmet laying dress. I actually found this at the bins, and the label was cut out. Now, the only reason why I was able to find this because I searched up the RN number, found out that it was helmet laying, and of course I got even more excited because I'm like, ooh, we love helmet laying. So I listed it like at $70, and I got a few low balls on Poshmark, and then someone came in and sent me a $45 offer. Now, of course, during this time I entertained, like, you know, we are not a storage unit, and then I also entertained like, okay, how long will this dress sit for? Now, this is actually my fault, because since we are moving into spring and summer, I could have sat on it for an extra 20 bucks, but I was like, you know, let's just get her out, okay? So I did. But I do think that I probably sold it a little bit less than what it should have went for, but you know, it is what it is. The next one is a REI pair of silk pants. Y'all know I actually briefly talked about this in the haul video, and I was shocked that it sold like the next day after I listed the item. Somebody just came in and they sent me a $19.90 offer, which I thought was very weird, but whatever. And I went on and accepted it because I'm like, okay, I didn't really know the market for this. I actually tried to check comps, couldn't find anything on these specific pants, so I went on and just was like, I got them from the bin, so let's test it out, and I would pick them up again. The next one is this vintage 90s jacket. It's a leather suede jacket. I pick up vintage when they speak to me. Some pieces speak to me and some pieces are looking at me sideways, but this one spoke to me, and I was like, let me go ahead and get her. She sold within a few days of me listing it for full asking price. The next one is this J. Crew sweater. This one only sold for $21, but I wanted to briefly talk about how it was purchased in January. The person got it, complained, and said that, you know, it didn't fit them the way that their other ones fit them, and it was very itchy. So I was just like, okay, y'all know that I have my returns like switched on, so I did allow people to send me returns at their expense. So he sent it back. I went on and accepted it because I'm like, okay, whatever. So it sat for a little bit, and then I finally listed it again, and somebody bought it within a few days on eBay. So now we move on to Mercari. Now, Mercari is just not that girl for me. However, I have been making a little bit of sales, which I was really happy for the month of February. And like I said, I'll talk about it more at the end. But anyways, so these were purchased by the same exact person on 2 different days. They sent me an offer for the mother denim jeans. I accepted it because I thought $95 was very reasonable. The next one is these pair of vintage Levi 550 shorts. I had them at $35. She sent me a $27 offer. Again, another bin's fine, so went on and accepted it. This one, of course, is not a lot of money, but I only put it on my list because it was my first time finding packed, and it was a pretty good find from the bins, and they sold fairly quickly, so I was pretty happy about that. Of course, I will pick this up every time I see it at the bins. I did come across 2 pairs of leggings at a thrift store, and they were kind of like beat to shit, and I didn't really want to pay $4 for them because they were not in a pretty good condition, and comps didn't look that great. So I was just like, nah. So that's why it is in fact important to check comp. The next one is my maternity dress. It actually sold on Mercari. I wore this for my baby shower, and this brand is really expensive for no reason. I paid close to $100 for this damn dress, and I sold it for $40. So what can you do? The next one is this Hatch maternity. I don't even know what this was, honestly. Like a poncho, I want to say, maybe. I had this listed at $50. They sent me an offer for $42, and of course I accepted it because it was my very first time finding this brand, and honestly this style wasn't like anything that was like wow factor. So when I received that offer, I was like, of course it's yours. The next one is really not something to write home about either, but I just thought that it was really nice and strange at the same time when I found this item, listed it, and it got so much attention on Mercari. Now y'all see it only got 3 likes, but that was at the time that I screenshotted this. It had a lot more, so I was really surprised that this sold full asking price and really quickly. Like, I listed it, and I want to say the next day I woke up, I saw that it sold full asking price. So fantastic fawn. Pick it up, look into it, because it was a pretty quick flip. And lastly on Mercari are these 90s Faded Glory fisherman shoes. Found these at the bins. They were in a really good condition to say that they are like from the 90s. So I went on and took them home, and I do remember like many months ago, I want to say over the summer, this style of shoe became really popular, but it was more so the Doc Martin styles. So I knew that I was aiming pretty high when I had them listed at $50, but I received a $42 offer, and of course I accepted it because I'm like, I paid like $2 for these. I take that back. I paid $3 for these, and I was like, yeah, it came in and it went, and I really love fast flips. So to move on to Depop, I made a total of 3 sales over here, which was really exciting, to be honest, because I had just, you know, started it. Anyways, so this top sold. It does say $35, but that's what I had it listed at, but they sent me a $25 offer, and I accepted it. The girls love flax. I sold flax on Depop a few times. The next one sold full asking price, and I was really happy about it because of course it was a bin's find. This was a silk cashmere blend, and this one did get a little bit of attention on that platform. I didn't know that it was going to sell full asking price. I woke up and it was, you know, sold, so we love that. Of course, I think the fabric sold this item. Silk cashmere, don't play with her. The next one is this Miss Elaine vintage dress. I saw this at the bins and I thought it was so cute. Of course, I have to make sure nothing was wrong with it because it looked like it was in a brand new condition. This one actually got attention across all platforms, so I was very surprised that it sold on Depop as quickly as it did because I had like over 5 likes on all the other platforms. But this one sold for my full asking price of $38. Okay, so just as a quick little wrap up, there was a few things that I started for the new year, and then as of now, which is you know, the beginning of March, I'm going to be changing. So for the beginning of January, I actually deleted all of my listings on eBay and Mercari because I had noticed for November and December, my sales had declined. Before, I feel like everything had happened when I was like super consistent, I was making at the very least about 15 sales per platform. So you already know that Poshmark is like my main jam. I make 80% of my sales over there. So these other two platforms, I'm not going to waste my time cross-listing over there, being customer service rep, if I'm only going to be making, you know, 5 sales. Like, it's a waste of time. So I had to reevaluate it. I'm like, you know what? I have so much listed on these platforms. Let me go ahead and end everything and then start fresh for the new year. So I did that, and I did notice a little bit of a change in January, but it really didn't kick in until February. So I was really happy to see my numbers go up because of that little slight change. Now for eBay specifically, I did in fact change my no returns to returns because I thought maybe that played a role in the decline of my sales on eBay. So I went on and did that, and I did notice an influx of return requests. I ended up getting 3 return requests on eBay alone, and I personally don't like that, but I went on and, you know, left it where it was at because I do want people to feel comfortable shopping with me. So I went on and just left the returns on, because if you guys aren't familiar with eBay, if somebody hits you with a item not as described and you are a no return shop, they can still return it at your expense. So you might as well go ahead and turn it on. That way they can pay for that return item versus you paying for it. You get what I'm saying? I also made sure that I didn't lowball myself. I know for January I did have a lot of like no sales days, and it was days where I was kind of like getting a little panicky, and I would send out very aggressive offers, and when they would get accepted, I would be so upset because I'm like, why am I selling this item for $11? Why did this go for $12? And it was very frustrating, but it was like, okay, I am a full-time reseller, so I have to make these sales. These sales are important for me to pay my bills. So that was happening. So for the month of February, I was like, you know what, I'm actually not going to do that. If I have a no sales day, that's totally fine. And also I stopped pricing my items at market price, because I think that's what also played a role for January sales, is that I'm pricing my items really low to begin with. It's because I want you to buy it now, but then when you aren't buying it now, I'm sending out aggressive offers, and then I'm selling the items for $11, $12. So then I'll be frustrated about that. So for the month of February, I X'd both of those out. I'm not listing my items at market price anymore. Some items, yes, when I notice that I picked up a bad buy, then I'll go ahead and mark it pretty low. And if it sells for 10 bucks, I don't really care, because I profited from it, and let me get this bad item out. So that ended up happening, and like I said, February was a lot better than January. I actually listed 160 items for the month of February, and I also relist every single day on Poshmark. Every single day, like clockwork. Of course, I don't do it myself, but I do initiate it manually. So I did eventually drop Curtsy. I had noticed that I was getting a lot of attention on like the 5 items that I had listed, and I would send out like private offers. I would drop the price, and they were just sitting around like vultures. And I realized, since I have to manually add these items on here, I don't like it. Like, I don't like waiting and waiting and waiting. However, for Depop, I was being extremely patient. So I started listing on Depop in January, and I didn't make a sale until February. And honestly, I didn't mind that, because I'm like, I used to sell predominantly on Depop. So I already know that it's going to take me a little bit of time to get good with their algorithm. And at that time, I have to manually add listings to Depop and on Curtsy. And I realized, since I didn't really care for Curtsy that much, I'd rather do Depop. I went on and dropped Curtsy in the midst of it, because I'm like, me listening to 5 platforms and then, you know, not really getting much on Curtsy, and I only sold like 2 items on that platform years ago. I don't think it's really going to be worth my time. But as far as Depop, I've sold over 240 items on this platform. So why would I just drop this one? So I went on and I kept listing, and I set a listing goal of 5 items per day, 5 days a week. I try to have my work schedule Monday through Friday, but of course I work on the weekends because I work for myself. But that was something that I did kind of like flop a little bit. I want to say toward the ending of February. I stopped listing daily, and it kind of like, you know, messed me up a little bit. And then lastly, what I want to talk about, what I have updated in my business is, y'all know I adore the bins. Like, I love the bins, and I was always like, I'm not going to no regular thrift store because the bins is my girl. However, I realized after selling those Lululemon items very quickly, I got those from a regular thrift store, and I noticed that even though like my cost of goods is so low at the bins, I still need to make sure I get items that are gonna sell for a higher price point at a thrift store. Yes, I do come across great items at the bins that I can sell for over $35, but that's not all the time. I've also tweaked another thing on my Depop and my eBay stores for the month of March. So at the end of this month, I will get back to you guys on whether or not it worked, and I'll tell you guys the outcome and all that fun stuff. But get used to me doing a monthly recap / what sold, because I kind of like this, because I'm always trying to grow. I know that I have entertained the idea of finding a regular job. I know, y'all, I know. But I think I'm just going to try to do this trial and error with a few things with my business, because I am a new mom. If you guys didn't know, my baby is about to be 3 months, and I want to make sure that I'm home with him and I have a very flexible work schedule. Of course, I can find a remote job. However, I don't want to have to work for somebody. Like, that is the ultimate goal, is to continue working for myself. So if I have to do a lot of trial and error things to make sure my business continues to grow, I will do that, because that is the goal. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this video.